welcome back. I wanted to create a fall sewing plans video for two reasons. One, I have a lot of beautiful fabric that I would love to show off. And two, putting all of this in a video for the world to see has a small chance of actually ensuring that I will actually create or finish these garments that I'm going to share with you today. So let's get started. The very first thing I want to finish as soon as possible is my peony dress. And I got this fabric from Textile Fabrics in Nashville. I was up there for work and took a little detour and created what is one of my favorite dresses of all time. And all she needs is for the lining to be tacked down and for a hem, and then she's good to go. And this dress I'm actually planning to wear for engagement photos later this fall, and thought it would be a nice colorful way to bring in the fall. The next thing I need to finish, and this is a little embarrassing, is this beautiful wool cape. I bought this fabric in Atlanta last March 2016, and I cut this out I think in November of last year. I also made a skirt. This is a Simplicity, vintage Simplicity cape, and I need to finish this bad boy because it's gorgeous and I really want to wear it. So I need to cut out the lining. Everything else is good to go. I just need to cut out a lining, attach it to the facings, actually do something with the collar, and then I will have a cape to wear. I also need to finish, this is a suede dress from Paper Cut Patterns in denim. And I started this, I don't know, back in April or May, and then I got busy and then I forgot about it. So all it needs is a hem. That's all it needs. So it's a little ridiculous that I haven't finished it yet, but it's on my list. I really love tent silhouettes. I love dresses that fall from the shoulder, especially in warmer weather. And I'm looking forward to being able to wear this because it's still pretty hot in September and October here in Tennessee. So that's next on the list. I also created this beautiful blouse. I actually got this lawn from Joann of all places, and I added the green bias trim around the neckline. I'm going to do the same for the armholes. That's all that it needs, and then I'm done with this. And I tend to sew in spurts, and then I get busy or I forget about projects, and this is one that I need to finish ASAP. So I've got those four things that need to get done as soon as humanly possible, and then I can actually move on to my new sewing plans, although knowing myself, I'll probably start these and they will all be in a state of completion within the next few months. I've had this piece of cotton lawn. It's a vintage reprint, and I've had this piece of fabric since March 2015, almost 3 years. This is something else that I do. I buy a beautiful piece of fabric and I refuse to use it for whatever reason. And I don't know why I do that, but I am bound and determined that I'm going to do something with this. I have about 3 yards of it, and it lays around 58 inches wide. So I could actually make a pretty amazing dress with it. But I've decided it's time to actually do something with this. The colors kind of lend themselves to fall. So I'm really excited to dig in and actually make something out of this, even though I haven't decided what that is yet. I also have a rayon challis in black and white polka dots, and I'm going to make a zinnia skirt. I've made this skirt, oh Lord, probably 7 or 8 times, and I absolutely love it. And I've made every variation possible. I've changed up the length. I've taken out the button band and just done kind of a 3/4 circle gathered skirt, which is also very cute. So I think for this one I'm going to do the full-on original, which has the button band down the middle. I'll probably leave off the pockets. I don't really like pockets on anything other than coats or jeans. And I think this will be really cute for fall. And I'm thinking I could probably make a netty bodysuit or something similar in a knit that's long sleeve, maybe even has a turtleneck that I could wear with this skirt, maybe with tights in the winter. Speaking of fabric I've had forever, I have 2 pieces of fabric here that I have owned pretty much since I began sewing. When I decided to teach myself to sew my own clothes back in 2011, I thought I wanted a professional wardrobe in all solid dark colors, preferably black, navy, and gray. And then I realized that I hated sewing plain fabric. But I also love purple. And so in the midst of one of my early fabric hauls, I picked up a beautiful piece of purple wool crepe, and I have 2 yards of this, and a 5-yard piece of wool gabardine. This one is actually has a much brighter color to it than this gabardine does, and I have much more of this. I've got about 3 yards left of the gabardine, and I'm thinking I want to do a pair of wool pants for fall. Something that will easily go with turtlenecks or any kind of sweater that I choose to wear, or even a really nice button down. But something with a relatively wider leg and a flat front, no pleats, but just something that's going to look really great for fall. I actually made a pair of wool pants in an orchid wool gabardine. I used a Vogue pattern, loved it, high-waisted. They're a little bit snug, and I think that's because of the interfacing that I used around the waistline, and they actually come up past the waistline. But I'm thinking a nice wide leg pant for fall. And the amethyst fabric is just gorgeous, especially with a lining. This will have beautiful drape over the body. And I'm thinking some sort of shift dress, or maybe another peony dress. I do love this pattern. It's so elegant and classic, and this would lend itself very well to that. While we're on the topic of wool crepe and fabric I've owned forever, I have a piece of, I'm going to call this raspberry wool crepe that I picked up in Atlanta in the same haul as I bought the wild plaid that is now a cape. And this is a beautiful wool crepe fabric. I have 2 yards of this, and I need to be using these fabrics. They're gorgeous. I need to be wearing them. And I actually read on a blog way back when someone had received a very large, they'd received their grandmother's fabric stash, and she had all of these fabrics in there. And the commentary on receiving that gift was that it was actually really sad that her grandmother never had the opportunity to wear the fabrics that she loved so much. She had kept all of them and never made anything, and they were gorgeous, and they deserve to actually be made into something beautiful and actually worn on a beautiful body. So if you're hoarding fabric at home, go ahead and make something out of it and get it out into the world, because it doesn't help you or do anything for you just sitting in your sewing room like these have. So I'm thinking probably another shift dress. I love shift dresses in the winter because I can wear tights and I can wear boots, or I can wear a nice flat or a loafer. And you know, a nice pop of color in the winter is always really appreciated, I think. I made a big fabric purchase order last fall with Mood, and I picked up this beautiful off-white and gray. It's got a slight herringbone to it, not a traditional herringbone, more of actually a chevron is what it looks like. It's a nice medium weight, and I've been sitting on this one. I really love it. It's got great drape to it. It's a medium weight. It's not terribly finely woven, so it's not going to be loose or anything, but it's got great drape to it. And so I'm thinking about either some sort of bodice, like the peony bodice, and then a nice full pleated skirt, something that will really look great in a wool of this weight. It's also opaque and incredibly soft, which means I can line the bodice and maybe not have to line the skirt, which I also like. Last but not least, I have a beautiful piece of wool twill. This is probably my favorite color of all time, and we're going to call this Orchid. This was Pantone's color of the year, I believe in 2014 or 15. Anyway, I also got this in Atlanta, and I've had this for over a year. And I recently found it again in the fabric store in Nashville when I was there about a month ago. So I know that it exists, which means I can go ahead and do something with this fabric, and if it ends up horribly, or if I just end up not really loving that garment, I can find the fabric again, which makes me happy. This is a beautiful wool twill, and you can actually see the twill in it much more than you could in a wool gabardine, which is nice. And it has some flecks of darker orchid and a little bit of a light pink as well. It is just incredibly, incredibly gorgeous, and it needs to be made into something. I'm thinking either a jacket or perhaps some sort of fitted dress with a short sleeve and maybe a V-neck, something very elegant and classy that I can wear around the holidays. So those are my fall fabric plans, and I am tasking all of you with helping to keep me accountable. I would actually love to create these garments and finish them. This year has been incredibly busy and incredibly stressful, and I need to get back into the hobby that keeps me sane. So I have big plans to actually do something with these. And since fall and winter are really my favorite clothing seasons, I'm really looking forward to making some beautiful things. I'm going to be checking back in on my progress because I want to make sure that I'm actually following through with all of these plans. And then I will, of course, be sharing the finished garments on Instagram and through my Facebook page, Modern Seamstress. So subscribe, leave me a comment below, and I will see you guys soon.